Hey guys, David Vader here from All Time High Crypto Podcast. Have another bonus episode for you today with OzKDawg from Pro Alerts Crypto. This is a guy who has a background in data analytics. He used to work in traditional finance, and when it comes to crypto trading, he kind of has automated a whole lot of these momentum strategies. I'm a huge fan of trading crypto with momentum. We got really into the weeds with this one. If you get a little lost, stick with it. We do kind of clear things up at the end. He's also got a really great Discord, which is a fantastic resource for learning more about trading, in particular momentum trading, but also you're able to get access to these automated alerts. And they're not just signals for some pump and dump scheme. This is legitimate trading. I hope you guys enjoy the episode, and I'll catch you on the next one.
We're talking about a decentralized world.
The supply of dollars can never be sufficient to satisfy the debts that it creates.
OzKDawg from Pro Alerts Crypto. How you doing?
It's so good to be online with you, Trader Vader. We have chatted many times on Discord, and I know that we're brothers, not from the same mother, but we're from the same bit of Australian earth. And
That's right.
It's really a big thrill to be here with you and be able to chat about my favorite topic, and I think it's your favorite topic, and that's crypto.
Absolutely, man. Hey, it's really a pleasure to have you on. I think we met probably through Doug's Digital Currency Traders group, and you've spun off and you've started your own Discord group now, and you're having some great success doing trading automation stuff. I really want to dive into the depths of it, but could you maybe start off for listeners telling us a little about yourself and where you come from?
Sure. So my name is OzKDawg. That's my nom de plume. And I run a Discord platform called Pro Alerts Crypto. And my background is data analytics. So I was living in Britain for over a decade, analyzing a lot of trade data. So trading systems and trade data in traditional finance. So for example, commodity houses, and then the stock exchange. And from there, I started to understand trade data. So trade data has a particular sort of qualities and characteristics. And actually working in the stock exchange in London is when I had my first real intersection with cryptocurrencies. So, I'd heard of Bitcoin, and I probably even had a few friends that had invested in it. But when you're in the melee of like a major stock exchange, when a new concept comes along, there'll be a group of people who just don't get it. And at the stock exchange in London, there were a lot of dinosaurs there. I mean, they're really smart people who dedicated their life to understanding traditional finance markets. They understood everything about options, swaps, how to price things, how to do risk curves. They knew that side inside out. But when this new beast came along, and I'd be sitting there in presentations, and it was like they were speaking a different, the people, the evangelists for blockchain were speaking a different language, and these people just couldn't understand it. I mean, or they didn't take the time to understand it.
When was this? You're working in this traditional finance sector in the London Stock Exchange, and you start hearing about Bitcoin. What year is this? When are we talking?
This would have been back in 2016. So, it's not the very earliest days of Bitcoin, but it was before it really took off. And the first murmurings were happening, right, back in 2016. And the interesting thing is, as I say, there were sort of these traditional finance dinosaurs. I mean, calling them dinosaurs, but there was a group of us sitting at the back of the room who were the techies, and we really just straight away we understood what it could do. And we just immediately said, like, I don't even know if we're allowed to buy this stuff. And we sort of went off with our phones and started looking at it. And, we discovered Binance very early on, but this was even before Binance. So we're using some other exchanges. And it was just amazing that we were like this people riding a wave. We didn't know quite where it was going.
Wow, that's so cool, man. I mean, these are the early days, and that's the first you heard about it in 2016. It's already been around for a while, but you're right. I remember in that time there was a whole bunch of new companies starting up. There was ICOs launching every single week, and we also had like a lot of blockchain evangelism, as you're describing it. People talking about the future is blockchain and not Bitcoin. Whereas, of course, the way that's kind of played out is that both are steaming ahead.
Yeah, I mean, it's still like cryptocurrency is still a dirty word for some people, So would you put cryptocurrency on your CV if you worked in the banking sector in Australia? I think there may be people now doing it, but up until a year or two ago, people would be like, I don't really want to put that on there. It's just like, it's a red flag.
Yeah.
But I think change has now happened. It has happened. And,
I think so. Yeah. It's so interesting because, you coming from this data analytics background, working in finance, it's like Bitcoin and crypto is the culmination of both those things and, perfectly suited to you. Did you have a moment where you were just like, right, I've got to get into this full steam?
Yes. So I remember I was sitting with a couple of other data analytics colleagues, and I went to this presentation and heard about it. Some of the other people hadn't. And I said, like, listen, I think we've just got to get into this Bitcoin and cryptocurrencies. And then other people were just like, no, we can't do that. You're not like, I don't think you're allowed to do that. I don't think you're allowed. If you're working at the stock exchange, I don't think you're allowed to buy it. And it was almost that moment where I could have said, maybe you're right. Maybe this is just something I shouldn't be doing. And, the job I have is more important than this sort of, this first flush of like this sort of romantic encounter with blockchain. But I dived in. I'm so glad I just I didn't listen to the no's. I listened to the yes.
There's a risk that paid off. Well done making that choice. I mean, it wouldn't have been easy at the time, certainly. So take us from there to where you are now.
I'd just like to make one other observation. So when I was at the stock exchange, we were actually building like a trade management system. And there was these are huge endeavors, right? You are putting like maybe 60 people all together to design something really fast, to get it off the ground, to get it to market. They're expensive products. Your customers are like investment banks and high-end financial institutions, very picky customers. And the tools we were using, the platforms that we create are not dissimilar at all to something like Discord. It's just amazing. When I look at what Discord or a platform like Slack can do, it's just like the barriers to entry to doing really smart automation are getting closer and closer between these larger financial institutions that have a ton of money and the sort of the everyday guy who's got a bit of brains or a bit of perseverance. It's coming together, and you're now seeing that. And the word I like to use is trading has evolved. So it's no longer just a game played by the sort of the masters of the universe in Wall Street. There are other people who can enter into this marketplace and do really smart things just with a computer.
Yeah, I love that. I mean, you touched on something huge. Technology really is the ultimate equalizer, isn't it? You have things like obviously crypto as a whole branch of technology, but yeah, platforms like Discord now are equalizing the playing field for traders. And not only that, but automating that.
That's right. And that's what's become my secondary passion, I suppose, not just trading. So, when I finished that role, I actually just didn't go back into the corporate sector. I stayed at home and I learned how to trade. That was a pretty tough couple of years, going up and down. Certainly the crypto market plummeted. And I learned a lot at that psychological level, about trading and what it feels like to lose. And you can't manufacture that without kind of experiencing it. It's really, it's a vital part of trading. And there were some parts of my own trade, and every trader has inherent bias, about the way they respond to stimuli. So things will set you off course because, you're susceptible to like losses. There could be anything, I mean, Freud could just dig into your brain and find out why you do certain things. And a lot of that will manifest itself in trading.
Yeah, it's so interesting you mentioned that. It's like, if you pay attention, trading will teach you more than therapy will about who you are and about what triggers you. Like, I've had so many lessons learned over the years as well, and things that you can, if you drill into, why am I feeling this way as I'm losing money, or the waves of emotions, or as I'm gaining money as well. Like one big lesson that I learned personally was during this huge run up of Bitcoin in 2017. I learned very viscerally about the hedonic, what do they call it? The hedonic reset, where like, I was like so fixated on this $100,000 amount. I wanted to see $100,000 sitting there that's mine. And then once I hit that, it's like, oh, now what? I've got to get to that million. Got to get to that million. You know what I mean? Like there's a reset, and it's I mean, that's a paper lesson. There's so much more deep stuff, of course, as we're training, we learn about.
Yeah. And certainly you do realize that making money just doesn't make you happy, right? I mean, making profit is a good feeling in some ways, but it doesn't fix other aspects of your life. So if something else is missing from your life, if you don't have a well-rounded life, all the Bitcoin in the world is not going to solve that problem for you. It'll help. But
certainly. I mean, wiping away tears with your Satoshis. Yeah. Like, it's not gonna fix your problems at the end of the day, but it's certainly the whole process though of winning is what gets me. It's not about the money. It's about winning. Like sometimes this happened to me this year, actually, a little bit earlier in the year. I was, as Bitcoin was running up, I'm making heaps of money because I'm holding some Bitcoin. And with smaller amounts of money, I'm trying to catch short positions as it's correcting.
Yeah.
And, maybe I'm losing $30, $50 here, $100 there. And that's so much more painful than the money that I'm gaining on the run up. It's about the winning and the losing in some respects.
I certainly discovered that actually by doing futures trading, where I was like, okay, I'm going to do this high leverage futures trading. And you were like, okay, because it's such high leverage, I can maybe just start off with some really small amounts. And I would find I'd be waking up and sort of worrying about like $1.
Yeah.
Like what happened? The profit is irrelevant to the sort of the feeling of winning, right? And at that point, I said, like, that particular style of trading is just not for me. And one of the things that has actually led me to is like the automation side of it. So you could certainly build some automation tools around futures trading, but 99% of people just won't be able to manage that process themselves.
Well, let's get into that a little bit. You're talking about being in the UK, traditional finance, you dump all that, you go headfirst into crypto, and now you're somewhere completely different part of the world. can you give us the short version of that story, and then
Sure.
tell us about how that's contributed to you building this huge resource on Discord?
Sure. So after 15 odd years in London, with my partner, we made the decision that she and I would move to Singapore, and it worked on multiple levels. It worked for her in terms of her career, but for me, just if the career step was great just for one person in a relationship, you would pause and say, well, okay, we could go to Saudi Arabia, one person can make a lot of money and the other person's stuck at home. Is that what we want to do? But in this case, for me, I was working from home, doing my trading, so I'm portable, but Singapore is just an amazing place to come in terms of blockchain, in terms of crypto. And I'm been here for about 7 or 8 weeks, so not long, but it is just amazing how much people in Singapore and in the Asia Pac region they're just crazy for crypto. They're nuts. I think I told you earlier, you go to the bank and the bank tellers start talking about crypto. You look on the job boards and major banks are doing huge recruiting drives. If you open up and you look for Binance will literally, like last week, Binance had hundreds of jobs in Singapore. Coinbase, I've got friends from Australia who are like leaving jobs from Google, and they're going to like Coinbase, they're going to Binance. So Google has always been held out as the sort of the Rolls Royce of, fintech. And now there isn't, I wouldn't say there's a mass exodus, but there are people who are now saying, the next big step is blockchain, is crypto. And it's happening here in Singapore. And that's what's so exciting for me to be here.
That's great. You're in the heart of it.
Exactly.
Yeah. That's amazing, man. Tell us about this Discord you've set up, because it kind of integrates some of the automation that your background is in and applies it to crypto, but really in an interesting way. You were alluding to this before about how Discord has kind of changed. It's this amazing platform that you're able to integrate all these things. Tell us about what you've built.
Yes. So the thing I'm really interested in is momentum. And, in terms of, if you look at a chart, what is the one thing that's undeniable about the change in valuation? And it's the momentum is the only thing you can really say that's happened. Like a company or a cryptocurrency, there could be things going on in the background that you're just unaware of. Like, there could be the tech team gets fired, the CEO does something, but the momentum is just 100% verifiable. And so that's what I made my passion to measure momentum.
Wow.
Right. So, yeah. And having that data warehousing background, I said, I can build a data store for momentum. So the first part I've cut out is Binance. So all the assets trading versus Bitcoin. So obviously Binance also trades against US dollar and against BNB, but my view is Bitcoin is still the daddy. It's the one you want to measure against. And that's what I'm doing. So I'm creating these data stores. I'm creating scripts that pull out that data on a daily basis. It can run multiple times a day. The trouble is you can kill people with too much data.
Of course.
You can just...
This whole thing's fascinating. And I remember you mentioning momentum to me. I think it was about a year and a half ago when we were chatting. And you know how sometimes you need to hear things twice before you pay attention? My friend had told me about this thing called the Ivy portfolio or muscular portfolios. And I'd paid attention and blown them off. And then you mentioned it. And I think there was, you mentioned dual momentum, and I was like, hang on a second, this is the second time I'm hearing this. Yeah. I was like, wow, okay, I've got to pay attention to this now. So I started researching it, ended up researching it quite in depth. I wrote a couple of articles on Medium about it. They did really well. And then I started funds on Shrimpy and, got a whole bunch of followers doing this momentum stuff. But for listeners who don't know what momentum is, can you give us a 101?
Well, wow, you put me on the spot.
I want to hear it from the pro.
Well, it's an equal and opposite reaction in physics, right? So momentum is the way that things move between A and B. And on a price chart, we can look at a candle and we can see, the candle has an open close, high, low, open close. And when we put those together, we get a picture of where the value of that particular thing you're measuring, is it moving up or down? I mean, that's it. So you could look at the candles, or you could look at a line chart. Is it going up or down? That's
basically it, right?
The basics.
But you're, and one thing I love that you mentioned is that you're looking at this from the lens of accumulating Bitcoin. A lot of people are trading against US dollars, of course. And me personally, I was always really invested in the trading against Bitcoin, not because of the pairs in themselves, but because the underlying strategy is to accumulate sats. It's not to accumulate worthless US dollars. So
yeah.
So it's, sorry, go ahead.
I was going to say, at certain times I've tried trading US dollar. At certain times I've tried trading out of Bitcoin back to US dollar, and it really becomes like 3D chess, right? So, if you buy a stock, the stock is valued against a currency. So say you buy Apple shares in US dollar, you're measuring it against the US dollar. When you're trading alts and you're trading them versus Bitcoin or versus US dollar, if you're changing your base from Bitcoin to US dollar, it just becomes really difficult and it becomes stressful. And of course, I think there will be a huge crash in Bitcoin, and it could drop 80%. It'll happen at some point. But it's just how high will it before it drops. But it's just it makes sense to me, and it makes sense to my mental sanity, and it makes sense in terms of the profitability, just to trade against Bitcoin. And you have to set some lines in the sand about what you do. There are other people trading US dollar, and I'm sure they're really successful. And maybe I would add that as a new strategy at some point later. But you can short Bitcoin, you can short alts. You don't really need the US dollar.
Yeah, no, you don't.
Stable.
And momentum. Going back to momentum trading in itself, you're following the trends. You're following what is happening already in the market. I think a lot of people make the mistake of getting into trading, trying to pick tops and bottoms, trying to buy as low as you can, sell as high as you can, or the inverse if you're shorting. And I think what momentum does is it has a pragmatism to its philosophy, which says, look, we're not going to catch the bottom and we're not going to catch the top. So what we're going to do instead is we're going to get that sweet middle ground, and we're going to make a little money there. And we're going to make a whole lot of money in the long term. I think that's such a mature philosophy. I think it's like a pragmatic philosophy. And that's what I started to really pay attention to after you mentioned it to me. And that was my second impression.
Yeah. I mean, in terms of like my philosophy is always to buy positive momentum. So all the strategies I have, even like if I have one strategy where the price maybe is going up, right, and then it drops, but I still would only buy once it rebounds back up to where it was. So I'm not buying the bottom. You could put a timer on it, and I use certain tools which is probably another discussion, like like Python, etc., which can do a lot of this automation for you. But all my trading is all about buying into positive momentum.
Yeah.
And sure, sometimes feel a bit like a lame duck. You're buying something and you've witnessed it just going up and then back down, and you bought because it went up, and then but that's where the automation side of it comes in, because it can be really mentally tough to make a lot of trades where many don't work out, right? But where you have just massive wins. So that was part of why I entered into the automation side of it. So, you can build strategies where you have, say, 90% of your trades are winners, or you can have strategies where like maybe only 10% are winners, and you have 90% are losers, but the 10% are just so massive that it's. But for a person to actually trade that, it's going to be, as we say in Australia, hard yakka.
Yeah, absolutely.
You want an algorithm to do that, to save you all the sort of the mental anguish.
Yeah.
So,
I remember when I was maybe 18, 19, I'll try and keep this story short, by the way. I was, late teens, early 20s, and I thought I'd get into horse racing, betting, and, there's all sorts of strategies. You can kind of back favorite, you obviously work out where you have an advantage using all the data, and then try and, back the shorter priced horses, and you might have a strike rate of 30-40% if your system is quite tight. But there's other strategies where you're backing horses that are $10 plus, and they only come in very rarely. And so I understand that strategy from that perspective. Like, you can have losing runs of quite a long time if you're running a strategy where you're getting, you're striking less, you're having a winning trade less often, but it's a huge winning trade. Right.
The one thing that I've worked on is, it's all well and fine to set up a bot that trades. So some of my trading is manual, but I use the automation of the data to guide me what to do on a daily basis. And there's kind of another story. I really strip out all the marketing information. So, I just want to see like really just a spreadsheet of like pairs. Like, what do I need to do today as a list of pairs? I don't want to see any like ADA marketing or like Monero marketing. I just want to see what to do. And that's what I learned working in trading houses. The traders really just distill it all down to like information that's really is just as boring as like some lines on a spreadsheet.
So this Discord that you've set up, tell us what's included there, what people can expect. I'll make sure that I pop a link in the description for that one. Tell us what people are going to be seeing on that one.
So what I actually do is I aggregate like all the momentum information on certain Discord channels. So once you subscribe, you get access to that momentum scanner. So that's part one of the sort of the subscription model. And then there's another side of it, which is more specific alerts. And that's actually kind of manual. I will look through charts and see, okay, I'm looking for some particular patterns to evolve, and then I'll make the trade. But even with those alerts, and the thing is, with any alerts, no one can see into the future, right? So you could set up something that looks amazing, it's an alert, but if the market tanks, then the momentum will drop. And what I've done is actually merged the momentum data with the alert data. So I don't know anyone that's actually done this. So I brought the two together. So if I give you an alert, it will have a take profit and a stop loss, right? Like most alerts will have that. They'll tell you when to enter, where to take the profit, and where to take the stop loss. But because we can't see into the future, you don't know whether the take profit will hit, and it could just start wilting, right? And it just drops and drops. And you don't really know. You're like, okay, do I sit on it until it hits the stop loss? Well, I'm giving you the third way which is with the momentum scanner. So it gives you a 2-stage exit process. So as the momentum drops on a lower candle, say on the 4-hour, then it's time to exit. When the 12-hour loses momentum, then it's like, hey, it's time to get out of that trade. And this is that's so powerful. You're merging two concepts together. So one person's doing all the hard work, going through the charts, looking for good entries, and then merging in that momentum side of it. So you get I call it the emergency parachute. So telling you, okay, shit, it's gone to the dogs. And my momentum scanner is doing the whole market, and you can quickly see the whole market is tanking today. So the average Joe wakes up, he opens up his Binance account, and he sees like maybe his portfolio has gone down, but he doesn't know where and why. And my momentum scanner will show you where. Okay, where has it gone down? Where do I need to take action?
That's great. So you're basically taking this idea of momentum, because you're right. A lot of trading and signals and that you're describing, they kind of rely on the market structure remaining how it is now. But of course, as that momentum dips, you have this additional layer which provides, I guess, emergency exits or lower take profits or whatever it is for those signals, so that those trades remain profitable more often.
Yeah,
that's cool.
And you can do back testing with it as well, and it's really powerful. Awesome. And that's the one thing I've got on the Discord. The other thing that I've built, which is new, which is about to launch, is a tool where you can just, like, say you've got, say, 20 different assets on your portfolio. I've built a tool where you can just pick up all your pairs, so say ADA, BTC, BCH, BTC, etc., and you can just dump it into a channel, and it will just auto-generate all the charts for you, like en masse. So say you've got 100 positions, you can pick them up and just dump it in, and it gives you 100 charts in like 10 seconds. So imagine.
That's awesome. Yeah,
it's awesome. It is really awesome, because when you want to go, here's my portfolio. Now I'm going to have to press on each trading view chart, one by one. I'm just going to look at this one, then I'm going to look at the next one, or I'm going to go into my Binance or KuCoin account, whatever, and I'm just going to press that button. Scroll, okay, look at this one. Mine, as you press it, the charts will actually just generate in front of your eyes, and I've timed it so it's not too fast. It could go in a millisecond, but I'd slow it down so it's readable by eye. So sometimes I can read 350 Binance charts in like 5 minutes, and at the end of it, you can train your eye to say, okay, I saw 350 charts, and I can see that there were 10 good ones there.
Yeah, and then you can always go back and analyze more deeply the ones that you saw opportunities in. That's very cool. So that's coming soon.
That's coming. It's in beta testing with a couple of people. Awesome. And at the moment, I'm doing that for the 12-hour, but I'm going to do it for the 4-hour and the 1 hour.
Now, is there someone that within this Discord that people can learn about how precisely to trade using these signals and indicators?
I've got some documents. I'll put them all into a nice little spot, and I'll do another intro video. So that's one thing. I've been traveling around Australia. The tools I built, it's amazing. I was living on the road in Australia for 4 months, and I could still run all my tools. I moved it all because they're built on Python, right? And I had it on my computer. And then just before we moved temporarily to Australia, I said, man, I need to have this in the cloud. And it took me like half a day. I moved all the scripts onto the cloud. And now it's like this classic digital nomad thing where you're like, okay, now it's all on the cloud. I'm what's the word? I'm not tied to a location.
I'm location independent.
Exactly.
That's cool, man. Very exciting. Yeah, look, I think like that whole the integration of the momentum with the trading signals, that's going to be something that I got to take away and explore a little further, because there's definitely, some improvements to my own trading that I can make using maybe those sort of things as well. So tell us about Shrimpy, because I know you're the person who first got me onto Shrimpy, and I started doing momentum trading, and I have 2 different accounts now running portfolios. I had one of my portfolios in the top 3 or something like that recently, so I was very happy with that. But
I don't know which one, who you are on there.
I have. So one of them is the one where I'm doing more ad hoc trading. Is called the Viking Growth Fund. So that's me.
Right. Okay.
You'll see me on there. I'm right up the top with the with the great returns this month. But tell us about yours, because you first got me onto Shrimpy. You're miles ahead, and you've got. I saw that you've got bull market watch stuff. You've got other funds.
The one I actually would like to talk about is a DeFi one. So some of the ones I have actually require quite a lot of investment, because they're buying quite a lot of assets, right? So, as the market turns bullish, we'll be soaking up all those assets. And the trouble with that strategy is that if you don't have a lot of a larger investment, the pieces are too small for a small account holder. So what I actually did was I stripped it all back for this particular strategy, and it's called bull market. Unfortunately, this is the one thing I discovered. When you create the names on Shrimpy, you can't change the names again. It's really annoying. It's called bull market, but it's actually a DeFi strategy, and it's using the momentum, but it's just pared back to 15 assets. I think I have a screenshot of, let me actually show you. Can you see my Discord now?
Yep, got your Discord, yep.
Yeah. So this is part of the Python tool. So with those alerts, this is actually showing today what the changes are. So it's telling you that algo, which was one of my alerts, has popped up on the 4-hour and the 12-hour. So it's blasted through on the 4 and the 12. And it's telling you into like the action points. So I've got like 120 odd alerts there, but actually today, this is all I need to focus on.
Yeah, right. So I don't need to even dig through the spreadsheet. You're basically simplifying the simplification.
Yeah. And that's a bot which I built on Discord that just fires out. This is what I love about Discord, and what I love about this new future of trading with tech. You can just give like action signals to people on what to do. And,
very cool, man.
This is the future.
Wow. Yeah, I love it. It's a lot to take in for sure. And I think that
I think that's probably enough for today.
Yeah, I think our listeners, if you're interested in looking at this stuff and delving further into it, definitely recommend jumping onto the Discord and learning more about this. And as OzKDawg said, we'll have a video link to check out more detailed rules and the way to use this information. But look, this is fascinating stuff, man. I love what you've done with it, and I love how you've automated some of these really complex issues and processes.
Yeah,
right?
And there's more to come. There's more to come, and I would look forward to chatting again at some point.
Yeah, let's do this again. Thank you very much for jumping on. It's always good to talk with a trading perspective, because I think for me personally, at least, the trading now represents a smaller portion of my investments, whereas it was front and center. I try and focus on longer investment, and it's very interesting to see your perspective and how you're essentially taking this complex process, making it simple, and bringing it to an audience so that they can do the same thing. So that's very cool, man.
Looking forward to chewing the fat again and finding out a bit more about I'm looking forward to watching more of your content.
Cool, man. Hey, thanks.
By watching it, and I wish you all the best of luck with growing the channel, growing your investments.
Yeah, thanks, man. I appreciate it. Yeah, we have this news show putting out every Wednesday, and it's it kind of covers the news off, all the developments. And before we started recording, and I regularly say it on the channel, but it always feels like a very slow news week. And then I look over the last week of what's happened in the space, and everything's changing so rapidly. You know, who would have thought? We have El Salvador adopting at the start of this year. No one would have thought there's a nation state that's going to be adopting legal tender. I mean, that's just one of so many things that have changed, you know, and the way the world is with, you know, inflation running rampant. Yeah, look, man, we got to talk again for sure. I'm rambling.
Trader Vader, thank you so much for having me on.